volunteer basis to just test out the market and then show our university what we can do and then the big needs that we have. And then from there, we get the support from the school.
Follow-up question regarding the food. The health department has signed off. Have you done the research there?
Yes, sir. We haven't gotten that far with that portion currently. We'd like to cut down expenses and things like that by trying to partner with Southwestern's chef, taking his advice in an area that we don't know much about. We'd like an expert, and he knows more about that than we do. So that's definitely something we would follow up with him for further information.
To add on him, I have personally talked to a chef just yesterday, and he's on full support with us.
So is this a for-profit adventure?
Correct, for now.
To begin with, we had the idea of making it a nonprofit. That's what you'll probably see in your business plan. But after our first round of competition, we've learned a lot of things about business we didn't know about, and we're trying to learn the differences between for-profit and a nonprofit. And so with our further research, we would eventually like to move it into a for-profit company.
So not to be the purveyor of bad news, but the concept of volunteer staff and for-profit business creates somewhat of a barrier, right?
I think when we don't get to do the thing, and we might not gain there is a lot of things that we don't understand when we come into this. So we will definitely meet more with our financial people and on campus. But as advice from our Vice President of Student Service, he suggests us just do it for this month, and then if they see us have a market, and then we'll get a support from them, and then we can negotiate that at that point. And now we have a group of people who are passionate because students want this. So I do have a team who would be willing to volunteer their time to keep this open.
So to begin with, we would start with volunteers, and after we've tested the product to know that it works, if we have the capital after something like this event, then we would move to paying and not having a volunteer schedule.
Okay, do we have one last quick question? Or if not, we're going to go ahead and move forward. So thank you. Okay, up next we have Braxton Molina with Ripple Gear. So as he heads up here, let's give him a warm round of applause.
All right, so today I will be presenting Ripple Gear. Let me figure this out. Okay, there we go. But before I do that, I want to talk about what makes a game immersive. Now, as a big gamer myself, I know that mobile gaming and console gaming cannot be compared because console gaming is so much more engaging. But what makes console games so much more engaging? Well, there's factors of immersion like audio, lighting, and vibrations. I believe that vibrations are one of the most engaging aspects of playing games. So to give you a quick example of this, let's all jump into a sports car. We're going super fast, and there's this corner that we did not see coming. And we start to take this corner, and we don't make it, and we start going off-road into the gravel. And what happens to the player's hands is in the controller, it starts to vibrate, so it makes him feel like he's right there in the driver's seat experiencing this off-road experience. Now, I'd like to say that these immersive factors are not present in mobile gaming, and this is what we aim to solve with Ripple Gear. So our first series of product is going to be called Ripple Case, and what we've done is we've put haptic motors, haptic vibration motors, all laid out along a grid. And what this allows us to do is differentiate left from right, from top to bottom. And by doing so, we can also simulate movement of travel. So let's go back to the racing game example. So we're in the car again, and we start to take this corner. And the right tire hits the gravel first, so we feel the right side of the case rumble. and then we feel a screech to the left side. And then the left tire hits the gravel, and we feel the left side of the device vibrating. And then we slam up into the railings, and then there's an intensity spike. And I would like to tell you that none of these factors are present in the console gaming controllers right now. So let's go back to intensity. So the intensity can range from small little raindrops to an explosion. And that's not all. What Ripple Case also offers is portability. So it's a case that's attached to your phone, so you don't have to remember to bring around a separate device. So those of us that aren't avid gamers can actually buy this product and want this product, so we don't have to carry around a big PS5 device everywhere we go just to play a game. So I would like to talk about how big of an industry Ripple Gear is getting into. So the gaming industry was worth $152 billion in revenue in 2019, and then that rose to $180 billion of revenue in 2020. Now, get this. Mobile gaming has acquired 45% of that whole share. So it is one of the biggest industry shareholders of the whole revenue. And when we get a little bit more niche specific, over a third of the population of the whole world has smartphones now, and that's about 3.5 billion people in this world, and 2.2 billion of them are active mobile gamers. So there's a huge transition to mobile gaming. And it's crazy because we spend more time on our smartphones playing games than any other gaming device. And then a whopping 43% of all the usage that you play on your phone is spent gaming. Not all of us, but some of us. And then with services like Amazon Luna and Google Stadia, we are having the ability to take these huge console games and be able to play them on our smartphones, just like we went from watching movies on Netflix and streaming gaming or streaming music on Spotify Music. Streaming gaming will become normal as well. But how do we get these huge platforms and game developers and app developers to actually use our technology? Because nobody wants to program their game specifically for this technology. So what we've done is we've created templates, just like I was talking about before, with the raindrops or a crash or something, so that if there's a scene that there's a picture, like if they're trying to do an ocean, we have a template of waves where they can just. And this program is going to be super applicable or adaptable and super easy to use. Now, I would like to highlight that I could not do this without my team members. So Alan Cuellar has helped me develop a prototype, which I'll show you in the next slide, and he's done the programming. And Alan Siri is an electrical engineer major. He's going to be helping us with the next prototype. Gabriel Nunez is a YouTube influencer who has acquired over 1.25 million views on his YouTube channel, and he is specific. And then Julian Young, who is proficient in all the Adobe softwares, and he is going to be our graphic designer. Now, this is our prototype. This is a show that this concept works and is applicable now and can be done now, and I'm trying to sell it in the future. And we've done 2 templates so far. And then the future of Ripple Gear is going to be Ripple Wave. And basically, it's everything that I was talking about before, but on a 3D moving surface. So imagine like a wave, but you have like a wave effect moving across your fingers. And this is like a 3D landscape. So if any of y'all have played with pan art, that's basically the same thing. It's like you push it. And we are in the process of a patent, so nobody can steal this idea. Thank you.
Okay, I believe we have a question from the judges.
How much did the prototype cost to build?
Yeah, thank you for your question. So right now, the prototype that it cost for me is about $15, but we are projecting it to be at least twice that much, so we are pricing it so, but we will be cutting costs if we can keep it low just like that, $15.
And I might have missed it, I'm sorry, but did you say how much it does cost for the purchasers?
Yes. So it is going to cost us, the price is going to be $75, but we are looking to lower that.
Is the $75 the end user, or is that going to be your cost all in of overhead?
No, it's $75 cost to end user. And we do think that's a little high, so we do hope to cut it back, but we do want to price it up there right now so that we always have like the ability to cut it down, cut costs down.
Okay, real quick follow-up. So what do you expect your margins to be at the end of the day?
Yeah, so we are expecting the first year to get 1/1,000,000th of the mobile gaming market. So that is 5 zeros and then 1% of that. And that is going to be about $59,000 in revenue. And then we expect to 10x every year. So by the third year, that's going to be 1/100,000th or 1/110,000th of a percent, which is actually $549 million in revenue. Crazy stats, I know.
And so when someone attaches this prototype or this device to their phone, this will be able to be used with any type of mobile game, or is there only going to be, like, based on your design and your engineering and your computer, attachments, are there only a certain number of games that this will work with? Or are you trying to make it widespread that this will work with any type of mobile game?
So we're actually hoping to do it with any of the gaming, any gamers that, like game developers that actually use the technology. We're hoping to make a few games so that people actually know the use case of this and like really feel like, okay, this is awesome, and when they start using it. And then we're actually not only going into gaming, but later on in the future, we hope to capture the entertainment industry as a whole. So go into like movies. So like, let's say like you're watching a Netflix movie and it's like a dinosaur, and the dinosaur's coming, so you feel like the rumbling of the stomping coming closer to you. So it like builds suspense. So we're actually hoping to get into like movies, film, social media, and even education.
I think I understand, this is a case for a smartphone.
Yes, sir.
So is it efficient enough to be my full-time case in terms of size?
Yeah. So this is the prototype right now. And as we all know, prototypes are like way bigger. This is just the coder for like a small chip, so it can get way smaller. And then there's like that much, there's like 50 or 60% of this is just hot glue right now. So it can be a lot smaller, and it's pretty efficient as well.
If you were to win the prize money, what would you spend it on, and how quickly do you think you'd be able to turn like an actual product that you could sell to somebody around?
Yeah, so with this prototype, we actually know exactly like the type of programming that has to go into it. So with the $5,000, I would be with my team, like creating the first prototype, perfecting it, and then selling about 200 products of that. So manufacturing out of house, and after we make a lot of revenue, then we're going to be starting to manufacture in-house. So with the $5,000, we would focus on marketing, 300 products, and then perfecting the first prototype.
Hypothetically, if you won this competition, would you be able to have your prototype operating in San Diego? Is it San Diego?
In San Diego?
Where's the final event for CoLab?
Oh yeah, I do think that we can. This took us about a month or two, and we are hoping, like now that we have more team members on board, we're hoping to like keep this rolling out, and hopefully if anybody's passionate about it, please come towards me and tell me exactly like what your skill sets are so that we can hopefully work it out with you. But yes, we can make a prototype that does work, and hopefully we can get to Series 2, which is a 3D Ripple Wave. I'm not sure about San Diego and the 3D model.
So my understanding is the functionality with that device has to be programmed into the game for it to work, right? So it's not something that your device is interpreting the game and patching it in. The game has to be made with that in design, right?
Yeah, so Actually, there's programs that are coming out that we could so basically they're like audio, so it translates audio and then it can go straight to vibrations. So we could use that, but we would like to program it specifically so that if there's like a specific scene of like an ocean, then they actually feel like a wave. So it's not just like noises. If somebody just busts down the door, there's not just a random vibration.
Have you considered a business model where you're focusing on selling the device directly to the developers and instead of direct to consumer?
Yes, I have a mentor in London. His name is Daryl Gungadu, and he has talked a lot about that with me. And yes, we would be willing to sell it to a big manufacturer, and we, of course, we would try to make this a business that works first before we sell it. Yeah.
Awesome.
We have not filed. We are in the process of a patent. And that's also what some of that money would go towards, is filing for a patent.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. All right, our last pitch is Christopher Finley presenting the project Advent Preaching. And this one is actually a little bit different because I'm told he will be presenting on Zoom. So.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I just want to test to make sure that everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Can everyone see me also? Am I on the screen or something?
Yes, we can see you.
I see some thumbs up. Can someone raise their hand from the judge panel if they see me? All right. Amen. All right. We're good to go. I'm so thankful to be here. It is a blessing. Unfortunately, I was not able to be there in person. Advent preaching was going great. Things were moving. We're seeing things happen. And unfortunately, as you may know, sometimes we go through life situations, and my grandmother, she got diagnosed with cancer. So I was able to discuss with the theology department at Southwestern. I switched my classes online, and I am helping my family take care of my grandmother in these times. If it was not for that, I would love to be there in person. And I've been watching all the different pitches, and it has been amazing and inspiring so far. But as we get into the presentation, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Christopher Finley. I'm a junior theology student, and I love preaching and learning how we could equip more people to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. So as we get into my presentation, I'm going to share this PowerPoint with you all really quickly. This is Advent Preaching. Can everyone see this presentation that I'm sharing?
Yes.
All right. So Advent Preaching, we are now officially, since December 15th, a 501c3 nonprofit media ministry under Texas. So Advent Preaching, I was inspired to start this because you ever been to a church where, one, they didn't have a full-time pastor to preach, or they didn't have any elders that were trained to preach? So what happens when there's nobody there to deliver a biblical sermon? Sometimes you have people that they preach and it's not good, or, and that's one of the hardest things to sit through. A 45-minute sermon at church where you're wondering, did they plan this? Did they prepare? Did they do anything? And that becomes a big problem, because after a long work week, the last thing you want to do is go to church with your family and hear a sermon that's not biblically sound or not prepared. So this is where we come, where our mission is to train and equip lay preachers to communicate God's word effectively. So what does that look like? We go into churches, we do workshops, we provide resources and materials, and we help people preach the word of God. What a blessing that is. We came up with this idea, spoke to my mentors. They said, go ahead, try it. And we launched last year, April, during the pandemic, the time when everybody was going online. What did happen? We grew to over 1,200 pastors, laymen, elders who have this community online where we're talking, we're sharing resources, and we're letting each other know, how do we train these lay people to deliver God's message? What happened next is we came up with this series called Conversations on Preaching, where we talk to some of the leading pastors, elders, professors in some of the top universities in the Adventist educational system. And they all agreed to come together and offer their wisdom, their experience in high quality content interviews that we have been doing that now we provide to our network online free so that they could access this, especially for those churches who have people that want to preach biblical sermons. And we see we have this market. In the Seventh-day Adventist Church, this is who we are catering to. We have over 21 million members, 92 churches, 92,000 churches, over 72,000 companies, and over 20,000 pastors. So this is a big market of many lay people out there who are feeling the need to preach, who are called to preach, but they just don't have that training. And we have many churches who have pastors who have multi-church districts who can't be at their churches every single week. So this is a vast market that we could tap into, which I'm very excited about. And we have been hitting some really good milestones by the grace of God. We've even had Elder Ted Wilson as a guest who have came on and shared his experiences in preaching and how excited he is about the ministry and what we can do together as a world church, as an organization to get more people trained on how to preach biblical sermons. And if you look at the bottom of his picture on the left, you see that's more of our setup where we meet with the pastors via Zoom, especially right now during the pandemic. And we do about a 30 to 45-minute interview where they take us through what does biblical preaching look like, how you could preach locally in your church, how do you get your leaders involved, how do you get your elders involved. And this is such an amazing initiative for our churches because when you get the leaders involved, when you get the elders involved, the Spirit is thriving even more in the churches. And that's one thing I'm very excited about and passionate about when it comes to this project. We've also been blessed to have special features like people come in and do 9 lessons from the preaching ministry of Jesus. Here you have Dr. Derek Morris, the president of Hope Channel, that has been excited about this project. He came on, he did a special feature for us. This has been doing great so far. We already sent this out to our audience. And then some of the real practical initiatives we want to do is we had a goal to grow our audience online. We already grew to over 1,200 members. But we wanted to make something tangible. So one of the ideas was a national preacher scholarship. How many pathfinders, young people in academy that you know that have the talent and the capacity to preach, but there's not a scholarship out there specifically for preaching. So with our mentors and our team, we came together and we strategized. What if there was a national preacher scholarship where 5-10 minutes people do a sermon and they could actually get help going to their college or their university? And we did that. By the grace of God, we teamed up with Texas Adults, which is under the Texas Conference. And in December 19th, we did this preacher celebration for the whole Texas Conference. And we had 5 students involved, and it was a blessing. And by the grace of God, for them preaching, for them putting their time in, praying, and just preparing a biblical sermon on the advent of Christ, as students were able to get a scholarship for this. It was really a blessing, you know, and this was one of the great initiatives that we want to continue to do, to get the young people involved in preaching and going out there and sharing the gospel. You're never too young to preach about your love for Jesus.
Hey, Christopher, notice that your time is almost up, so if you can wrap up, that would be great.
All right, wrapping up now. Thank you so much. One of another milestones we hit is 1,000 members, and then we even did an international preacher scholarship where we funded this one student to go to school in West Africa. We helped him. He participated. He submitted his sermon, and that was one of the blessings. We have merch, which we use to help fund the scholarships. And this is our future plans. We want to make a set where we can start doing high quality content. And we want to do preaching workshops in churches all around the nation. We have our strategic plans. We have our initiatives lined up, which I would love to share with you guys if you have any more questions. And this is Advent Preaching. Thank you so much for this opportunity to allow us to share this initiative that has been truly a blessing. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you, Chris. We're going to go ahead and start the portion where the judges are going to ask you questions. So we'll speak into the mics, but let us know if you can't hear the question that's being asked, okay? There's 4 minutes on the clock.
All right.
Hi, Chris. I was curious if you have spoken with the communications department about utilizing their set for some of your video content that you're talking about, so that you can collaborate within the university for the resources that already exist to better your platform.
Yeah, I've spoken to my friend Caleb Durant, and now that you brought that up again, when I come back, I'm going to add that to one of our initiatives so that we can save when it comes to utilizing the school's resources.
I understand that the main model of your business is to create a training platform to allow the lay people in the church to step in and substitute preach, basically, is what it sounds like. Have you thought about adding a channel where you would actually provide the substitute preachers through the network or through the platform?
Wow, that is actually great. As of right now, our main focus has been curating the digital content and the training material, but that's even a step further to actually provide preachers. Wow, I'm going to add that to our ideas to look more into that.
I'll send a consulting bill.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. I'm curious, so did you go over revenue and how the business would generate revenue? Was there like a subscription base or their advertisers? How does that work?
For the revenue part, we were looking into a subscription base through our followers that we're building. Right now, we are at over 1,200 followers, so we were looking into saying, we were going to move forward with the model of a subscription base, but more based on donations. And another funding model that we were looking into, it was grants. So as of right now, the two revenue models would be subscription based through our followers, and then second, revenue from grants.
Chris, listening to your presentation, you're obviously very passionate about this, and it seems like you already have a lot of momentum going. I think that you are already functioning as a business. I think you can offer yourself to the Adventist church community, and they should pay you for your services. So I think you're already much further ahead in this project that you realize. And I think that you should ask people for money for your services and that they should pay you. I think you're already there.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we have time for one more question if there's anything else we'd like to ask. Okay, thank you so much, Chris, for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you to all the participants. These were excellent presentations, in my opinion. I'm not one of the sharks up here, but I'm sure they agree with me that there was a lot of great ideas, so thank you. This is the portion of the program where we're going to start the live deliberation, and we're going to kind of go through systematically, if that's okay with our judges. We're going to start with the first pitch and share a couple things. We have allotted 20 minutes for this part of the program, and so I'm going to keep us all on track, making sure that we are responsibly allocating time for each presentation. So first up, was William McKendrick and Michaela Lazarus with Bon Voyage. And just a reminder, if you can, as you're going through these presentations, as we're talking about them, if you can score them by the time we're done talking about that particular presentation, and then give them to Carla, Carla will tally them up. Yeah. Okay, so Bon Voyage, what did we think?
I'm up, okay. I think they have, part of the problem is understanding the real market of anything, and we tend to want to get up front and talk about how incredibly large the market is, and nobody has enough money to do that much penetration. And so the market was not concise, I didn't believe. I don't know what else to say. Here, I'm going to pass the mic.
I thought their idea was excellent. I think that there is definitely going to be a growing market for travel in the future, so this definitely had a future for me. I had some concerns about, especially as an avid traveler myself and somebody who runs a company internationally, when it comes to trusting who is on the other end of the place that you will land. I think trusting the systems that already exist to say, oh, they've been vetted, that was my biggest concern. I think you should, if they were going to do this, they needed to consider launching very locally, focus their resources and their money on very locally, and personally have someone who is responsible for checking out and vetting those cultural experiences, because there is a lot of danger, especially in world travel nowadays. So that was my biggest concern, was the idea that this is about exchange and cultural exchange. There needs to be a very serious amount of time, money, and energy put into the vetting process.
And I mentioned it in my questions during the question session, but I think my main concern about it was how sustainable a business model is based on trading service for service. I think that ultimately, if you have a business in another country and you're in a tourist market, your goal ultimately is to be paid in currency and revenue. And having even a planned percentage of end users paying with services, I don't know if that's sustainable over the long term.
I think my biggest concern was about just like labor laws in different countries and having to be, just educating that in just so many different countries. So, the global launch, I think, would be, really difficult to be realistic. But I guess that was my major concern on it.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next one, and if you can pass the sheets to Carla on that one, Bon Voyage, then we are good to keep going. So the second pitch that we heard was Social Awareness Program by the Diaz siblings. Do we have any thoughts on that one?
Which one now?
This is the Social Awareness Program.
I didn't understand it, the presentation.
I put down in my ratings that once I got through the presentation, I liked the idea that they had. Same problem. It took a little while with the clear communication of what they were trying to do, but I think they've got a foundation of a pretty good idea. They basically want to create a platform where they can connect people that want to help with people that need help, create education for emotional awareness, and maybe provide some content. There's Facebook groups and things that do that. Human interest stories, kind of things to drive interest, which could be used to bring revenue in or donations. But I think that there was a challenge in really presenting the idea.
I thought that they clearly had developed the idea, but need to practice pitching exactly what it is that they're selling. But ultimately, like Nathan said, I think that they do have a genuine desire to help people. I do think there is a platform that already exists locally, and I was serious when I said they should contact that platform and see if they could utilize their passion for the idea to contribute to something that already exists, especially since they don't seem to have a long-term plan for developing a website or what platform they were going to use. There is a platform, and they should contribute to that in the best way that they can with great content.
Ditto. I have an opinion at some point.
That's okay. We don't have to share for every single one if you don't feel compelled to do so. The third pitch, we're going to keep on moving, was Heather Chirinos with Utila Keys SDA School. Do we have any thoughts on that one?
Well, first off, I'd like to say I was at the first round, so I really appreciate the improvement of the presentation and the clarity of the program from the first round. So good job on that part. I mean, she definitely has a heart for ministry. The presentation was very nice. The ministry is very good. You know, as a business guy, I'm always struggling with, you know, isn't it really an ongoing concern? And, you know, she has a list of partners and resources. Are they going to stand behind her when she needs them? So.
Oh, she is very passionately presented, done, I think, very well, and I think I can correlate because it's a great place to scuba dive.
I think the presentation was passionately felt and delivered. As an international business owner, my concern would be, what are the barriers to the children attending school already? And whenever you're looking at starting an organization in a foreign country that you are not a citizen of, reaching out to those families and finding out what the barriers are to education, the barriers for transportation, and sometimes, like we said during the presentation, reinventing the wheel. If there is already a school exists and those children are struggling to attend school at all, making a duplicate school could cause additional issues. If this is somewhere where income is falling for those families and income is going down, they're going to struggle to pay tuition. If this is a community where there is no job future and you're going to give those kids jobs, you're actually training those children to leave home. That's a big concern too. And some families don't train their children because they don't want them to leave. So the idea that education would send their children away is scary for some parents. So instead of necessarily building like a training school, could be a technical school, could be great. But if that's going to take all the jobs away from the locals and send those children away, think about instead, how can you hire people within the city, within that town, so that when those children grow up and get jobs, they don't have to leave home in order to continue to support their families. Otherwise, you get deserts where people live and they survive, and there is no way to make a living, and so they cannot feed their families, and ultimately communities like that totally disappear. So those are things to consider when you're especially in an education program.
All right, do we have any last thoughts on that one?
I like the idea. She did a great presentation, and you know, there's one school on one island, and being a parent of a almost 7-year-old, there's frustrations with education all the time, and to not have an option, you know, there would be another option and a Christian option. So I like it. I think the funding might, maybe, you know, she looked into like economic development or something like that, you know, where they're trying to bring in new businesses. They have to have a trained workforce to, you know, an educated workforce. So that might be another solution for funding.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to the fourth pitch, which was Kayla Goodman, and her project was called Do Good Man. What did we think of this one?
Well, I think from the first round, I think there's been improvement in the presentation that was given. You know, she's definitely passionate about her project and what she's trying to accomplish. You know, one of the challenges is it's a one-person show, so it's only sustainable as long as she can continue pushing the project forward. That would be the thing that there need to be more clarity is how do you scale it?
Anyone else on Do Good Man? Any other thoughts?
Over here? Okay. To kind of piggyback on that, yeah, I think doing it herself I don't think is feasible. But if she were to provide a service like where I want to get the matching headband, mask, shirt combo, and it takes me a certain amount of time very quickly to get, I think that would maybe improve her business model.
It reminded me of a business plan that I have seen. There was a program called Heartfully a few years back that offered couples that were getting married to donate their wedding gifts in the form of a service project. So imagine a community needs a well. Well, Larry and Jenny are getting married, and for their wedding gift, you can donate to a well. So I like the idea. If she wants to do this do good plan, I would just say really make it specific and driven so that people know that when they're buying a mask from her, it is going towards, and then you could have a list of different things that people could donate to. So those types of websites has been very, very successful. I will caution you that with Heartfully, she couldn't figure out how to pay herself. She could pay for her supplies, she could fund all the projects, and in the end, she could make no income for herself. That is the struggle.
I was just going to remark that the model that she had for make one, give one, or sell one, give one reminded me a lot of Tom's model, the Tom shoes. And it's, to his point, it's going to take a lot to scale to where that can actually be impactful. And you've got to build a brand to be large enough to make an impact.
All right, all valuable insight. Let's move on to the fifth pitch, which was Karen Hernandez presenting Karen C's Closet. Also, yes, thank you for faithfully handing Carla your review sheets. Any thoughts on Karenzi's Closet?
I think she has a solid idea to do an auction model and using Instagram. I think that's a way to, just to grow revenues exponentially. She would have to have more followers than 1,000 to really make it grow. But overall, I think she did a pretty good job.
All right, any other thoughts on Karenzi's Closet?
There are a couple different current clothing sales models that it made me think of. It made me think of ThreadUp, which is a secondhand model. And their advantage being that they have vast warehouses full of clothing to choose from. And there's also things like Stitch Fix, which is a subscription box. And I think the nice thing is she kind of combined the style you aspect with the secondhand. And I do think that there is a big market for secondhand. But my bigger concern would be how is she going to store enough clothing to make it viable?
All right, unless we have any other last thoughts on that one, I'll let you finish up your scoring and pass your sheets to Carla. The next pitch was Yoo-Hoo and Matthew Hansen with You Cafe. Did we have any thoughts about this one?
I'll start. I think their presentation was wonderful. The visuals, they had a lot of relevant information in there. It was visually appeasing, and they had all the information there. I think what Doug, correct? What Doug had brought up about having volunteers for a for-profit company, maybe that's a miss, but I think they can figure it out.
I agree. And the presentation was fantastic, and there's a few little things that they will learn on. I think it's needed. If they can work through the university, I think it's a great plan. I think it was very well presented.
Yeah, I think they have a captive market, and they should take advantage of that.
A hostage market?
Yeah. I just making sure that everyone is on the same page with how a business like that would work, especially within a university, is important from the get-go. Making sure you understand, yes, we have permission to this, no, we don't have permission to this, who owns what, and where does the profit go. I also love the idea of a scholarship, but I would caution them before they get too far in their project to who they're promising their money to and what they're going to promise it for before they've started making their money. Also, the idea of renovating like the student center, that's a very lovely offer, but I think that's the university's responsibility. So just be careful who you promise your profits to before you make any.
Depends on how much money y'all want to donate right now.
Exactly.
We can go really crazy, but yeah, as visitors, Carla and I can attest that there is a need for a coffee place in Keene. So the seventh pitch was Braxton Molina with Ripple Gear. Did we have anybody who wanted to start us off with their observations on this project?
I think as a product, it's a very interesting product. I think it's a miss to go after the direct-to-consumer market. I think he's going to have a hard time finding apps or games to match the device, and it would be easier to just focus on developing the device and the technology and then sell it to a game or software developer that can then integrate it on their end.
You know, I think it's one of the best ideas of the night. Is it workable? That's the question I don't know, because I'm not in gaming or understand electronics. Great presentation. You know, can you really produce it for $15 and sell it for $75 or whatever? You know, those are all questions that have to be vetted out, but, you know, otherwise it's a novel idea.
I like the idea. It's really cool. You know, esports is blowing up, especially from COVID. Last year when there's no sports, it started hitting ESPN and during prime time. But things that I'm thinking about are like battery life on your phones. How much battery life is that going to drain, and how close or far away are we from actually having a working prototype that is convenient and usable for the consumer?
Well, clearly, once again, this is a sky the limit proposition, right? And we get hung up on those numbers, and we really don't, you know, you can't. The idea of $5,000 making an impact in this type of a business is absolutely nothing. You know, you need $500,000 just to get a prototype out. The reality of what this could be is huge. There's no question. I think he's going to find that there's already patents on haptic feedback and things like that, and so I expect that's what he's going to be addressed. But well presented, lots of energy, lots of energy.
I think I'd like to speak to the presentation as well. I think my only critique of presentation would be, since you're selling a physical experience, tell us a story. When you get up there, describe, choose a scenery. If you're going to talk to us about water or about cars or whatever, choose one and stand up there and give a full performance. I want to see the motion. I want to see us crashing into the wall, and I want to say, okay, great, hand me that device. I want to try it for myself. Because I think you could, at the beginning, I kind of didn't know what you were talking about. You were selling us clearly something that had to do with gaming and phones. But I think if you could present it and act us through it, everybody would want one in their hand. And I think you could sell it just with that.
All right, thank you for that feedback. So as you pass your papers to Carla, let's get started on our discussion on Christopher Finley, who presented for Advent Preaching. What did we think about this presentation?
Love the concept, concerned about the financial plan, long-term, making that work. But, you know, he's got some great pastors up there, starting with our own Pastor Kilgore. So, you know, I'd love to see the project work. I think he really is going to have to focus on the financial viability of it long-term.
I feel like this is already functioning. It's already something that he does. And I feel like this is the future of training church preachers. This technology becomes more integrated, that they're going to need more of this type of content. And so I think he should be working already, if he isn't, with, you know, different divisions all over to offer this, and that they should be utilizing him as a huge resource. So I kind of feel like he gave an incredible presentation, but he should have unlimited resources within the church, not have to go to a competition like this. They should be writing him a check for his abilities.
And I don't remember if it was Greg or Nathan, but suggested that it could also tie in the collaboration or the connection between facilities and needed pastors. And I thought that's a fantastic idea, and if he could do that, I think that's a need.
I like the business model as far as, you know, just being able to communicate with others to be able to preach. And I met a gentleman once, and he's from Australia, and he's the #1 cutting horse trainer, and he's online and in the world. So he's very well known. And I mean, if you can teach cutting horses, you can teach ministry and things like that. But the financial behind it, I didn't understand how he would make money from the business, or how the business would sustain itself.
Any other final thoughts on that last presentation, Advent preaching? Okay, so if you can hand Carla those final sheets, she has been tallying the scoring for this. Please hold. Judges, can you go to the back, please? Okay, and as the judges are going back to the back, if I could have all the participants come onto the stage, join me up here, that would be wonderful. Oop. Why did I move that way? Let me move this back. All right, and could we have another round of applause for our participants tonight? Carla is currently tallying up all the scores and having a huddle up with all the judges. Are there any speeches you would like to give, people you'd like to thank up here? No, perfect, perfect. I guess I'll just give a speech then. I would like to thank all the participants. I would like to thank Carla, CoLab, Enactus. Thank you, Southwestern, for hosting us. You've been wonderful hosts. Carla and I got gift bags, and now we have mugs and stickers and the things you stick on your phone. So we are set for life with Southwestern gear. Oh, yes, please say something.
I just want to thank everybody here because for everybody who has prayed, for all of the contestants, I've gotten a lot of prayer and a lot of support today. So I just want to thank you all. And I also want to say hello to my family and friends back in Honduras who are watching right now. They're all like anticipating what's going to happen next. And I just want to thank everybody watching for your love and support, for helping me get this far. And yeah, just continue, like all of us contestants, continue praying for us because God is obviously using us right now. So.
All right, and if we could have the president, I hear the president is here, Ken Shaw, come up and say a few words. Let's give him a round of applause. I'm sure you know all about this and are very prepared with what you're going to say, right? Right.
I want to say good evening to everyone. I'm just really excited about all of these ideas. This is what Southwestern Adventist University is all about. You know, it's about creating new ideas, and these people have exemplified who we are at Southwestern Adventist University in a very fine way. I'm sitting back there, I've got a lot of buttons on my shirt and they've all popped off because I'm proud of each one of you. All of your activities and your ideas are just stellar. So I'm anxious to hear what the judges have to say. But if you come in 4th, 5th, or 6th, or whatever level you are, don't let go of your idea. If you've got a passion on something, it's your passion, it's your God-given passion, and you need to utilize that and pursue it with everything you have. So thank you all for just your wonderful ideas. The time it's taken to get a business model together. I mean, there's a lot of things in putting together a small business. So thank you for the time that you put into it. And I've just been really excited to be here tonight. So thank you all very much.
All right, and now I have the microphone again. You'd think that I would have something to say at this point. Well, I also have been very impressed by all of your ideas tonight, and especially your presentation skills and your PowerPoints. It has all been very inspiring. So if the judges don't pick you to invest in, maybe hit me up afterwards. I make very little money, but I'll support with my words and affirmation. Anything else anyone would like to say? Anyone would like to thank? Thank you.
I just like to really thank. I just really like to thank my team members, especially Alan Coyar, because he has been with me. He's been with me since pretty much day one when this really started taking off. So I really appreciate him for volunteering his time and being with me and really supporting me in this. And I hope we can make it a true thing in the future. And I would also like to say that I think y'all all did a great job presenting, and I am really appreciative for all the feedback that you have given all of us, because it's really necessary for us to hear this feedback to continue and try to overcome these obstacles. So thank you so much.
So as we are waiting for the final call on this, we have guests that would like to share something. Wonderful. Part of the plan the whole time.
Well, I'm really glad to have the opportunity to come from Pablo. Was able to present to a couple of you a few weeks back, but it's really good to see, guys, that you have the drive to present and be able to showcase your ideas. Just like the president said, don't give up. One of the challenges that I posed, because I was discussing it with my peer, is there are two things here, and I'm sure the judges took that into account, but one is the way you present, and the other one is the viability of the business. The way you present, hey, the better you do, the better you'll be able to sell the product, so yay to that. However, to me, the most important portion is gonna be the viability of your business. And that's where I believe at least half of you guys need to work harder on the viability of the business, because if you work on that viability, then you're gonna have buyers be able to go for your product. A lot of the numbers that were thrown out were not necessarily bottom out to, hey, am I ready to give you money to go for that? And yes, pretty good ideas, but it needs to be more solid on that end. So that would be my 2 cents.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, this is loud. Okay, thank you for that wisdom. We have 3 enormous checks. This is my favorite part of the program, because we're going to present giant checks to you. I need to know who it is, so I don't, you know what I'm saying? Do you want it? We're very professional. Okay, so that was 3rd place that you just told me. Okay, so 3rd place, can we get a drum roll, please? The prize of $2,000 is Currency's Closet. Okay, and for 2nd place, we have, drumroll please, again, this is $3,000 and a mentorship. We have U Cafe. Yeah, go to the center. Okay, and now for the 1st place prize, this is for $5,000, so let's get a big drum roll, please. $5,000 goes to Ripple Gear. Maybe let's bring up our 3 winners just to the front for picture opportunities and such. Yes, as they take pictures, I will give my closing spiel, which is congratulations to the winning participants. We are so excited to see where your entrepreneurial journey takes you. Special thanks to our judges who were here today and for all the participants. Also special thanks to Southwestern for hosting us and our sponsor, Civitas Senior Living, for making this event possible. Thank you for everyone for joining us tonight. We hope to see you soon, and in the meantime, be well and God bless.